If your life keeps cycling through the same frustrations, the same outcomes, the same invisible barriers, it's not bad luck. It's a reflection of your standards. The world doesn't hand you what you desire. It hands you what you tolerate. And what you tolerate is directly shaped by the standards you set for yourself. When you raise those standards, everything else begins to change. Your thoughts sharpen, your actions align, and the people you allow into your life shift. Changing your standards doesn't adjust your behavior. It redefines your reality. You rise or fall to the level of what you accept. You don't get what you wish for. You get what you demand from yourself. The life you're living right now isn't fate. It's the outcome of what you've refused to settle for or what you've allowed to continue. If a man accepts being average, then average is what his life will reflect. Not because he was meant for less, but because he stopped reaching for more. A standard isn't just a rule. It's a line in the sand. It's the moment you decide, this is who I am. This is what I will and will not allow. Raise that line and your life rises with it. Lower it, excuse laziness, delay your purpose, or allow weak influences in, and your life will descend accordingly. Raising your standards doesn't start with grand gestures. It starts in the small, almost invisible details. The time you wake up, how you keep your space, whether your word means something. Do you follow through when no one's watching? Do you clean up after yourself? Because if you can't command your own morning, you'll never command anything greater. Picture a man who rises before dawn, presses his shirt with care, and writes down 3 things he will conquer that day, not because someone asked him to, but because that's his code. That's his personal standard. Now compare him to the man who wakes late, stumbles into the day, and reacts instead of leads. Which of those men do you think shapes his destiny? And which one gets swallowed by it? Ask yourself, what have you been tolerating that must no longer be allowed? Who in your life reinforces weakness instead of strength? What have you finally declared? No more excuses. This is my new standard, because your life will bend in the direction of that declaration. Change your standards and everything else will follow. When your decisions are already made, hesitation disappears. Doubt has no room to enter. There's no need for internal debates, no fog of uncertainty, only the sharp clarity of conviction. When your path is drawn in advance, there is no gray area, no courtroom in your mind filled with justifications or excuses, just the quiet confidence of knowing who you are and how you will act, no matter the circumstance. You must decide now how you will respond when insulted. Will you retaliate, or will you hold your ground with composure? Decide now how you will act when you're exhausted. Will you cut corners, or will you finish with honor? You must define what is unacceptable from yourself, from others, and from life. Because if you don't set your standards, the world will set them for you. And the world does not favor the undecided. It shapes them into what is convenient, not what is right. Indecision invites chaos. It invites compromise. But predetermined principles are not about control. They are about freedom. The man who already knows what he will do is not a slave to impulse. He is not at the mercy of the moment. He enters every room like a judge who has already written the law. Picture that judge. He does not enter the courtroom to guess what justice might be. He comes to enforce what justice is. His standards are firm. His laws are clear. No guess order, just truth. Now ask yourself, where in your life have you left decisions open? Where are you still negotiating with your lesser self? Where do you keep saying, he'll decide in the moment, knowing full well that the moment is when you are weakest? The man who decides in advanced lives with strength. He walks taller, speaks with certainty, and earns trust, because he has first learned to trust himself. But the man who waits lives in reaction, he apologizes, he retreats, he builds nothing permanent, because he is always swayed by the winds of circumstance. Every day you postpone your standards is a day you lease your life to outside forces. You become a man on loan to the moment, not a master of it. But that ends with one act decision. Decide now who you are. Decide what you will never tolerate. Decide what you will rise for and what you will never kneel to. And once you decide, never borrow your identity again. Because a man who lives by predetermined principles cannot be bought, broken, or bullied. He is anchored. He is unshakable. And in a world that bends, he stands. So ask yourself, where are you still unprepared for the life you claim to want? What areas have you left a chance to luck or to a future version of yourself who may never come? What would change if you trained every single day not with doubt, but with certainty, as if the opportunity was already en route? Excellence does not slow down to accommodate the unprepared. It rewards the man who stays ahead, the one who practices in faith, who believes so deeply in his calling that he prepares long before the world takes notice. Do not wait for the call. Do not wait for applause, for validation, or for permission. Prepare as if the door will open tomorrow. Prepare as if your future depends on the work you do today, because it does. One day, the curtain will rise. The door will open. The opportunity will come. And when it does, there will be no time left to practice. You will either step forward in confidence or stand frozen as it passes you by. Only the prepared will rise. Only the one who honored the hidden hours will carry the weight of greatness. So begin now. Train with purpose. Read with focus. Work with intention. Set your standard high. Then become the man worthy of it, because success is never accidental. It is the collision of relentless preparation with the moment of opportunity. Be ready. Rise, but raising your standards also requires letting go. Not everything can come with you. Not every habit, not every belief, not every relationship. Elevation demands elimination. You cannot rise while clinging to the weight of your past. The familiar may feel safe, but it is not loyal to your future. The man who climbs a mountain does not pack for the valley. He leaves behind what once made sense in a different season. He travels light. He chooses between comfort and summit, and that choice will hurt. You may grieve what once served you. You may feel the sting of releasing it. That is natural. But the pain of growth is far less than the regret of staying small. You must inspect your life the way a shipwright checks a vessel before a voyage. What routines weigh you down? What actions rob your time, fog your clarity, or erode your self-respect? What friendships keep you comfortable but not committed to your purpose? Who speaks to your weakness instead of calling out your greatness? This is the truth. You cannot take everything with you. If you try, the climb will break you. Change has a cost, but staying the same costs far more. Picture a man boarding a ship to a new world. The captain stops him and says, "Only what is necessary." The man looks back at the trinkets of his past, the tools of a life he's outgrown. But he knows what lies ahead demands a new version of him. And so, with fewer possessions but greater resolve, he steps forward. Ask yourself, what must you now release in order to rise? What patterns, possessions, or people chain you to a version of yourself that no longer fits? Growth isn't just about adding. It's about subtracting. Before life multiplies, it must simplify. Before your future expands, your present must be pruned. Raise your standard. Then remove anything that doesn't rise to meet it. Speak it. Live it. Cleanse your environment, because your standard is not only what you accept, it is also what you refuse to allow. This is not cruelty. This is clarity. You are not abandoning your past. You are honoring your future. You are making space for the man you are becoming. And that takes courage. The courage to say, this no longer serves me. This no longer reflects me. I love you, but I must grow. Your destiny cannot be reached through compromise. It is not found in old cycles. It is found in new strength. So look around. Look within. Choose what stays. Choose what goes. Then move. Move lighter. Move faster. Move with vision. Let your life become a testimony, not of what you carried, but of what you had the strength to release. Because the man who climbs is not the one with the most, but the one with the least unnecessary. You don't grow by keeping. You grow by letting go. And when you do, you create space for greatness to meet you on the path. Let go and rise. Your environment is a mirror of your standards. The space around you speaks. It reflects what you allow. It is not just background. It is a declaration. A man who lives in order, clarity, and beauty is not showing off. He is showing what he believes about himself. He is saying, without words I matter. My work matters. My life matters. But the man who allows clutter, chaos, and decay, even in silence, is declaring just as loudly, this is what I tolerate. This is what I believe I deserve. Your environment is not passive. It is active. It trains. It speaks to you. It either sharpens or softens you. You must build a temple around your habits, a sanctuary around your mission. Walk into your space and feel it call you upward, not drag you down. If your surroundings make you lazy, you will act lazy. If they elevate you, you will rise with them. So look around. What do you see? Do your surroundings lift your vision or blur it? Are your tools ready? Is your desk clear or chaotic? Is your schedule structured or scattered? Your space is not a storage unit. It is a mirror, and it reflects what you allow. If it weakens, you change it. Not tomorrow. Now. Remove what is broken. Clean what is stained. Throw away what insults your future. Surround yourself with tools, not distractions. With symbols of excellence, not reminders of drift. What you see every day shapes what you believe. And what you believe shapes what you become. You are not merely living in a room. You are living in a reflection. Your desk, your clothes, your walls, your calendar, even your digital space, they all speak. And they all send a message back to you of this is your standard. Do they shout excellence or whisper apathy? Do they pull you forward or weigh you down? If a stranger walked into your life unannounced, what would they conclude about your seriousness just by what they saw? Picture the study of a great leader. Still, ordered, intentional, books in place, notes aligned, no distractions, no clutter. Just the quiet discipline of a man who takes himself seriously. He hasn't said a word, but already you trust him. What does your space say about you? Would someone walking into your world believe you're headed for greatness? Would they feel your vision or see signs of drift? Your environment is not everything, but it is the beginning. It sets the tone. It becomes the training ground. Soon, what surrounds you shapes what flows through you. If you want to write with clarity, sit in clarity. If you want to think with focus, sit in order. If you want to act with courage, surround yourself with strength. Elevate your environment to match your future. Let every object, every wall, every corner bear witness to your standard. Walk into your space and feel it whisper rise, because what surrounds you does not stay outside of you. It enters you. It forms you. And it either pushes you forward or pulls you back. Choose now what stays. Choose now what goes. Elevate your surroundings. Make your space a sermon, a standard, a signal of where you're headed. And watch how fast your inner world begins to match. In your friendships, at work, and at home, you are always teaching. Not through lectures, but by how you live. Not by demanding, but by setting an example. So ask yourself where in your life have you allowed others to lower the tone? Where have you swallowed your discomfort just to keep the peace? Where have you silenced your standards because they made others uneasy? Imagine what would change if your mere presence demanded excellence, not through force, but through example. What would shift if people knew that with you? Only respect, clarity, and purpose would be tolerated. People often try to change others with words, but the world listens far more to your standards than your speeches. A firm boundary speaks louder than 1,000 reminders. A man who respects his own time doesn't have to argue about lateness. A man who honors his values doesn't have to beg others to do the same. He simply lives them and lets the world adjust. This is how leaders are born. This is how culture is shaped. Not by shouting or protest, but by a single individual who holds the line with unwavering consistency. So look at your life. What line have you allowed to blur? What standard have you lowered to avoid conflict? What self-respect have you traded for acceptance? Now raise it. Speak it if you must, but above all, live it. Never lower it for anyone unwilling to rise. Because a man who honors himself teaches the world to do the same. Not through demands, but through discipline. Not through ego, but through quiet power. Don't ask for respect. Command it. Not through control, but by becoming the kind of man whose life leaves no other choice. Let your standards speak. Let your actions speak. Let your presence uplift, and the world will listen. Standards are forged in solitude and proven under pressure. In quiet moments, it's easy to promise yourself, I will be disciplined. I will be strong. I will not fold. The mind is clear, the air still, no conflicts to face. But real pressure reveals the truthing, whether your foundation is built on stone or sand. Words come easy in peace. Convictions are tested in chaos. A man who only builds himself in calm is unprepared for war. But a man who uses solitude to fortify his mind, sharpen his values, and cement his standards walks into hardship ready. Not because he is fearless, but because he is trained for the moment others dread. Use solitude to build what pressure will soon reveal. Silence is your workshop, the place where you forge your values, refine your decisions, and clarify your boundaries. The man who reflects on who he is and who he refuses to become gains armor before the arrows fly. The man who waits for battle to decide his identity is already lost. The fire does not create the sword. It reveals if it was tempered well. If your identity isn't fixed before the storm will fix it for you. Take time alone, uninterrupted, unfiltered, without distraction. Sit with your thoughts. Confront the uncomfortable. Write your code. Speak it aloud. Decide who you are. Decide what you'll never do. Decide what you will always do. Because when the moment comes, you won't have time to decide. You'll only have time to act. Picture a general who studies the terrain long before the army marches. He walks the land silently, maps every hill and valley, imagines every attack. When the enemy arrives, he is not surprised or scrambling. He is ready, not by luck, but because he was silent before he was strong. The same is true for you. Are you building in quiet or waiting for chaos, preparing or gambling? Setting your standard in stillness or hoping to remember it in crisis? Don't let the crowd define your code. Don't wait until pressure mounts upon your strength. Set your standard in solitude. Carve it deep. Then let the furnace prove it. Hardship is not the time to question who you are. It's the time to demonstrate who you've already decided to be. Let silence be your teacher. Let discipline be your friend. Let solitude become the sacred place where your identity is uncovered, not invented. And when the storm comes, when voices rise and the world shakes, stand firm. Not because you are unshaken, but because you were forged for this. Remember this, a man who prepares in quiet walks with power through chaos. A man who waits for chaos to shape him is not a man. He's a leaf in the wind. Choose the rock. Choose the silence. Choose to set your standard before the storm. When the test comes, pass it without fear. Not reacting, but revealing. And the world will see what was built when no one else was watching. The world bows to those who refuse to lower their standards in a world that rewards speed, popularity, and convenience. The man who chooses principle stands out like a torch in the dark. While others sprint for applause, chase trends, or trade values for likes, he walks a different road. One paved with resolve, lined with integrity, and marked by quiet power. He is not the loudest, not the fastest, but he is unshakable. And that is power. The kind of power does not need to be seen to be felt. The kind that holds its ground when storms come, when pressure rises, when everyone else chooses the shortcut. Most people negotiate with their weakness. They make small deals with mediocrity. They whisper to themselves, just this once. They cross their own lines and pretend they haven't. They lower their standards to feel good now and suffer the consequences later. It is the slow decay of self-respect, and most never notice it happening. But the rare man who says, no, this is who I am, becomes a force. He draws strength not from approval, but from principle. He does not drift with convenience. He does not bend to gain favor. He stands, and in standing becomes unforgettable. History remembers such men, not for perfection, but for faithfulness. They did not sell their souls for temporary gain. They did not sacrifice truth for applause. They did not hide their values when it was costly to display them. Imagine a judge who refused bribes when it was easy to look the other way. A soldier who kept his oath despite exile. A builder who followed the blueprint exactly, never cutting corners even when no one would know. These may not have lived in the spotlight, but their work outlived them. Their names are remembered, not loudly, but lastingly. And you? What if you could become unforgettable, not by shouting, but by standing? What if your strength became your signature? What if your quiet consistency became your loudest testimony? The world will test your standards. It will tempt you with shortcuts, soften you with praise, pressure you to bend. But that is your moment to rise. Don't lower your standards to meet the world. Let the world rise to meet you. When you hold your line, others take notice. When you live by principle, you give others permission to do the same. When you stand with unwavering conviction, you become the example the world desperately needs. In a culture of compromise, clarity is rare. In a sea of noise, silence built on strength is magnetic. You don't have to preach. Just live with such integrity that your life becomes a sermon. Be the judge who chooses justice over convenience. Be the soldier who stays true to his post. Be the builder who never betrays the blueprint. You won't be the loudest or the trendiest, but you will be remembered not for your following, but for the weight of your example. Stand and let the world adjust. That is power. That is legacy. That is what the world cannot ignore.